Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aveti
Good morning,
Learning's
ma'am.
beginner class in spoken English.
Good morning,
And
ma'am.
today we're going to be talking about food. So, first, we're going to be talking about two different food choices, which you can also refer to as diets. So, dita prakarya diet achi. First type of diet is a vegetarian diet, and the second type of diet is a non-vegetarian diet. So tamane samaste vegetarian or non-vegetarian ro difference jancho ki?
Yes, ma'am. Vegetarian means ma'am जोटा हमरो सादा खाइबा कहते जेमति पनीर मशरूम this like बस non vegetarian कहले meat fish prawn this type
Correct.
of food.
Correct. So English jodi kahero chi, then you can say vegetarian mane you don't eat any animal meat. So ta mane tame chicken, mangsa, sera sabu khai parihani. But non-vegetarian re you can eat the animal meat. So you can eat chicken, you can eat mutton, you can eat shrimp, you can eat fish, you can eat whatever animal products you want. But vegetarian or non-vegetarian bhitare bhi bahut prakarya diet achi. So first, we'll talk about the 4 different vegetarian diets. The first type is a lacto-ovo vegetarian. Tamane vegetarians who avoid all animal flesh but do consume dairy and egg products. Tamane tame vegetarian acha, but tame anda khao or tame dairy product khao. Dairy product mane tamane samaste jancho ki? Yes. Okay,
Ma'am,
so dairy product.
ma'am, please tell we don't know this.
Yeah, dairy product mane all food products made out of milk. So milk is a dairy product. Dahi not a dairy product. Paneer and cheese are also dairy products because these are all made of milk. So anything made of milk is a dairy product. Oh, please avoid drawing on the slideshow because that can be distracting to other students. Okay, so lacto-ovo vegetarian mane tamane samasya jantalo ki? Or are there any questions? Okay, so next we'll talk about lacto-vegetarian. So lacto-vegetarian mane vegetarians who avoid all animal flesh and eggs but do consume dairy products. Tamane tame animal flesh khaiwani, tame anda khaiwani, but tame milk, yogurt, paneer seguଡ଼ା ସବୁ ଖାଇ ପାରିବ. So a ବିଷୟରେ କିଛି question ଅଛି କି?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So now we will go on to talk about ovo-vegetarian. Ovo-vegetarians are people who avoid all animal products except eggs. So all animal products means animal flesh and dairy. So anything that comes from an animal and is edible is called an animal product. So tinta prakari animal product achi, animal flesh, dairy, and egg products. So ovo-vegetarian mane dairy khantini or animal flesh khantini, but samane anda khanti. So ovo vegetarian ramane tane samasta buchhilo ki?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then the last question thila ki? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
And then the last type of vegetarian is a vegan. So vegans are vegetarians who avoid all animal and animal derived products. Tamane samane animal flesh khantini, anda khantini, or dairy bhi khantini. So kichi question achi ki e slide bisare? Okay, jodi no questions, I'll move on to a pescatarian and a flexitarian. These are two different types of non-vegetarian diets. So a pescatarian is someone who chooses to eat a vegetarian diet, but also eats fish and other seafood. So pescatarian mane hele vegetarian, but samane macha, chinguri, kankada, seguଡ଼ା ସବୁ ଖାଆନ୍ତି. if the food comes from the ocean or the water and it's animal, then pescatarians can eat it, but they won't eat chicken and they won't eat mutton. And then there is also a flexitarian. A flexitarian is a person who has a primarily vegetarian diet, but occasionally eats meat or fish. So samane most of the time vegetarian thanti, but once in a while samane non-vegetarian khaiva bhi khai parive. So a dita bisare kichi question ache ki?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Now we'll talk about the 6 different primary food tastes. So the first food taste is sweet. Sweet mane ke janchanti ki?
Ma'am, mitha.
Correct, mitha. And can someone give me an example of a food that's sweet?
Ma'am, honey, sweet.
Correct.
Honey.
Honey is an example of a sweet food. Okay, and then the second category is salty food. Salty mane ke janchanti ki?
Lunia.
Correct,
Ma'am,
lunia.
which contains more salt is not salty.
Correct. So if the food tastes very salty, as if it has a lot of salt in it or a lot of sodium, then it's called salty. Odiaramiko lunia. Can someone give me an example of a food that is salty?
Salt.
Correct. Salt is an example of a salty food. And then what about sour? Sour mane?
Khotta.
Correct. Khotta. And can someone give me an example of a sour food?
Lemon.
Lemon. Correct. Most citrus are sour. So lemon, orange, grapefruit, sara sabu sour thai. And what about pungent? Does anybody know what pungent means?
Rago.
Not exactly. Rago is an example. Raga mane spicy in English. So spicy is an example of a pungent flavor, but pungent mane strong in either taste or smell. So basically just a very strong flavor. So for example, here we have chilies because the spicy flavor is very strong. And then here we have onions because the smell of an onion is also very strong. And what about bitter? Does anybody know what bitter means?
Pita.
Yeah, correct. And can someone give me an example of a bitter food?
Bitter.
Ma'am, cholera.
Correct. Cholera actually in English, you call it bitter gourd. So that's a very good example.
Pita.
Correct. That is what bitter means. And then there is astringent. Does anybody know what astringent means?
No, ma'am.
Astringent is a less known flavor, but it's kind of like the combination of bitter and sour. So if you were to combine those two, then you would get astringent. And an example, there's a picture of it on the slide. Does anybody know what this is?
Pomegranate.
Correct, pomegranate. You'll notice pomegranates are a little bit bitter and a little bit sour, especially if you eat this part, like the white peel. If you eat that, then you'll know that it's a combination of bitter and sour. So a slide bisare kichi question ache ki?
No, ma'am.
No? All right, cool.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so here are some common phrases to use when you want to talk about food. Who wants to read the first one out loud? Or I can read it out loud. Number 1 is I'm starving. I'm starving is the same as saying I'm very hungry. Atamane mate bahut bhokko laguchi. So number 2, Sena, do you want to read it?
Yes, ma'am. And let's grab a bite of bite to eat.
Correct. Let's grab a bite to eat means chalo tike khaiva khaiva.
Ma'am,
You
grab-
normally say it when you're telling someone, oh, let's go to a restaurant. So who wants to read number 3? What about Krishna?
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, grab means
Grab means to take or to get.
yes, ma'am.
So when you say let's grab a bite to eat, it doesn't mean literally take. It's more figurative or a common, it's a very common figure of speech. Let's grab a bite to eat means let's go out and eat. But yeah, Krishna, do you want to read number 3?
However, eating it out to that restaurant.
Yeah, so number 3 is how about eating out tonight? Amane, chalo aji bahare khaiva. So basically it means instead of eating at home, we'll eat at a restaurant. Bishwatos, do you want to read number 4?
I brought some snack.
Yes, I brought some snacks just means mutike khaiva anichi. And Sena, do you want to read number 5?
This soup is delicious.
Yes. Amane a soup odia hechi. Delicious means very
It
good.
tastes good.
Yeah. Delicious mane to taste very good. So you can only use delicious when describing food. Let's see. Does anybody else want to read the others or?
Yes, ma'am. Could I have another helping of potatoes?
Another in of potatoes.
Yes. So can I have another helping of potatoes means mu besi alu ne parivi ki. Namote besi alu miliva ki. You're basically just asking for more potatoes. And you can replace potatoes with any food. So I can say, can I have another helping of soup? Tap mane mo audi soup pinki pacharuchi.
Yes, ma'am.
And let's see, number 7 is I'll have ... So jetbele tame gote restaurant racha, for example, tamuku soup order karyar achi, then you can say I'll have the soup. Ta mane mu soup order karuchi. And you can replace soup with any food. So if you want to say naan, you can say I'll have the naan. Ta mane mate naan dakkar. Okay, number 8.
Could we get the check, please?
Okay. Yeah, so can we get the check, please? Tame basically check pinky pocharucha vittarku. And number 9, Vishwatos, do you want to read it?
I am full.
Correct, I am full. And number 10?
I am satisfied.
I am
Correct.
stopped.
I am full and I am stuffed mane mu bahu khai dechi amu au khai parivini.
Yes, ma'am.
So a slide bisare kichi question achi ki?
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, then we'll move on. So now we're going to talk about different meals and at different times. A clock you can ignore the clock, but what do you eat in the morning? Does anybody know what meal you eat in the morning?
Breakfast.
Breakfast. You eat breakfast in the morning. So, all right, M for morning. And then after breakfast, you can eat a snack, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So this we can also say morning. Our snack pore kona khaiba afternoon re?
Lunch.
You eat lunch in the afternoon. And after lunch, between lunch and dinner, what do you eat?
Snack.
Correct. You can eat multiple snacks. Let's say snack you eat in evening. And then at night, what do you eat?
Night dinner.
Dinner.
Correct. So let's say night.
Dinner.
And then sometimes if after eating dinner, tamko still bhokko laguchi, tale kona khaiba?
Snacks.
Snack, yes. So this picture is wrong. Technically, everything should be shifted a little bit. Or no, I guess if this is AM, then it's fine.
Ma'am,
It's okay. Yes.
ma'am, what is the difference between dinner and supper? Or what do you mean by supper?
Yeah. Some people say supper instead of dinner, but both of them mean the third meal of the day that you eat at night.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
supper and dinner mean the same thing. In the US, we normally say dinner, but I think in a lot of European countries, they say supper.
Yes, ma'am.
But you can choose either interchangeably and people will know what you mean. Okay, I'll get you question, Achi.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So here are some common adjectives to describe food. For example, you can call your food delicious, tasty, or yummy. That mane, the food is very good. Or you can call your food disgusting, awful, and horrible. That mane, the food is not very good. Karapechi. And you can also use some of the words we talked about here, the 6 tastes. You can say the food is salty, sweet, sour, bitter. You can also say it's savory. Does anybody know what savory means? Savory is the opposite of sweet. So for example, dessert is sweet food, but normally your lunch is going to be savory food. So basically any food that isn't sweet or a dessert is called savory food. You can also describe your food as hot or cold, peppery, spicy, fresh, rich, strong, or tasteless. Tasteless means
Yeah.
bland. So does anyone have any questions about these words?
Ma'am, what is
Yeah.
mean of horrible?
Horrible mane bahut kharab.
Ma'am,
Stinky?
awful.
Awful also mane bahut kharab. Awful and horrible both have the same meaning.
Ma'am, again, please tell again the meaning of savory.
Oh, savory. Savory. Do you guys know the meaning of sweet? Mitha?
Yes, ma'am.
So savory is the opposite of mitha. So jadi gote khaiva mitha nahi, then you can say it's a savory dish.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you can think about it like this. When you eat, you are eating a food that is either a dessert or a main course. So if the food is sweet and can be a dessert, then you say the food is sweet. But if the food can't be eaten as a dessert and it should be eaten more like a main course or an appetizer, then it's savory. Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You can also say, to describe the texture, you can say the food is crispy, tender, tough, smooth, creamy, chewy, oily, fatty, or greasy. So are there any questions here?
Ma'am, tender means?
Ma'am,
Tender is normally used to describe meat. So if the chicken or mutton is cooked nicely and it's cooked properly, then you say the meat is tender. Jadi besi tana achi, then it's tough. But if it's not too hard and it's easy to eat, then it's tender.
ma'am, greasy means?
Greasy is almost the same as oily. Ta mane bahut tela achi khaivare.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay, and then you can also describe the food smell as stinking, fragrant, or smelly. Fragrant mane bhalo basuchi, ଆଉ stinking ଆଉ smelly mane gandha hଉଛି.
Yes, ma'am.
ଆଉ କିଛି question ଅଛି କି?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So here
ma'am.
are some more.
Ma'am,
Here are
please, ma'am.
some.
Fragrant
Yes.
means
Oh,
fragrant.
fragrant mane bahut strong smell, but it's a good smell. Tane bhalo basuchi essentially.
Yes, ma'am.
Here are some more adjectives. A lot of them overlap. So more a adjective to discuss karibini, and these aren't as important. But jodi tamaku time billa after class, tame recording to dekhiki a adjective oda bhi sikhi paribo.
Okay,
But
ma'am.
yeah,
Yummy and
now we are going to
delicious.
have a small discussion about our favorite foods. So I'm just going to ask everybody here what their favorite food is. For example, my favorite food is chicken biryani. And who else wants to share what their favorite food is with the class? You can raise your hand on Zoom. Biswatos, what's your favorite food?
Ma'am, pizza.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Ma'am, he says that pizza.
Oh, okay, pizza. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't hear it. But yeah, I also really love pizza. And Stena, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food is paneer. I love the dairy foods.
Nice. Okay, I love paneer too. And Aditya, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food is burgers, ma'am.
Ooh, burgers. Burgers are also very nice. And Krishna, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food chicken curry.
Chicken curry. I also really like chicken curry. Does anybody else want to share their favorite food? No? Okay. This is okay. Now we're going to practice some conversations about food. And I'm going to call on 2 people at a time. And actually, no, sorry. I'm only going to call on 1 person at a time. And I'm going to be asking them questions that are similar to the questions on the slide. And if I call on you, dale, you don't have to read what's written on the slide. So for example, let's just cross it out because I think it's more fun to hear your answers than what's written here. But yeah, so who wants to go first? And I'll just ask you a question and you have to answer it. Let's go with Sena. Sena, do you like to cook?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I like cooking because I feel that cooking is very good habit.
Nice. All right. And then let's see, Biswatosh, is there any kind of food that you don't like?
Ma'am, egg.
Eggs? Nice. I also don't like eggs. Let's see. Aditya, do you usually eat out or cook at home? And if you don't know what the question means, you can always ask me and I'll clarify.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah, what is it?
Ma'am, what is the difference of delicious and yummy?
Oh, delicious and yummy both mean the same thing. Both mean the food tastes very good. So there is no difference.
Ma'am, I will try the third question.
Yeah, sure, you can try the third question. Do you usually eat out or cook at home?
I usually eat the food that is cooked at home.
All right, nice. And let's ask someone else. Krishna, how often do you cook? Or it's okay. If you don't know what the question means, it's fine. How often do you cook just means kete thara tame rosei kara. So if anybody was confused about what that means. Does anybody else want to answer that question?
Ma'am, I like to cook in my free times.
Okay, nice. And let's see. Would you say that you have an healthy diet? Who wants to answer that question? So Shri,
Ma'am, please again the question. Ma'am, again, please the question again.
Yeah, sure. The question was, would you say that you have a healthy diet, which is the last bullet point? Okay, Sena, you can answer this one.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I would, because healthy diet is good for our health, and in this pandemic situation of COVID-19, we should have a healthy diet.
Correct. Good job. That was a very good answer. And does anybody have any questions about the conversations we just had? So kichi question achiki kahara?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So let's move on to ordering food at a restaurant. So I think this is the last slide we're going to talk about. So I need two people to read the lines in the slide. One person can be the waiter, one person can be John. Okay, so Sena, you can be the waiter, and sorry, the names disappeared. 1 second. And then Sushri, you can be John. Oh, sorry. Okay, so Sena is the waiter and Sushri is John.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, can I start?
Yes.
May I get you anything to drink?
Yes, please. May I get 2 glasses of orange juice?
Sure. Would you like an aperture?
I will have the tomato soup to start.
Oh, I'll be Lisa. I'll have the shrimp soup.
Would you like to order anything else?
That will be all for now.
Let me know when you are ready to order your food. Here is your potato soup, madam.
All right, so this was an example of a conversation you have when you order food in a restaurant. So, a slide bisara kichi question achiki.
No, ma'am.
Oh,
It's good.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so jodi a slide bisara bhi kichi question nahi, tale I'll give you guys your assignment. So, in the beginning of this class, mu bote kaithibi ki the best way to learn English is to always practice. And the best way to practice is to just talk to yourself in the mirror in English, because that way you'll just get used to talking and thinking in English. So the assignment is to talk about food for 1 minute. And in case you don't know what to talk about, you can choose 3 different squares from this chart. So for example, I can talk about my favorite dish and how you cook it. And then I can talk about fast food. And then I can choose to talk about the foods that I can't live without and why. So does anybody have any question about this assignment? Any questions about this assignment? Basically, the assignment is to just practice speaking English. Did somebody have a question?
Ma'am, please show one example.
Okay, yeah, sure.
How can I do this assignment?
Yeah, sure. You don't have to submit it. I just want you to practice at home, but I can talk about food for 1 minute. So first, let me talk about my favorite dish. My favorite dish is chicken biryani, and it's my favorite dish because when I was younger, my grandmother would always make it when I visited her house. So I have a lot of good memories associated with the food. To make chicken biryani, you need rice, chicken, and a lot of spices. And after you cook all of those together in a pressure cooker, it's also very important to make the raita because without the raita, the food is going to be too spicy. And you really need something to complement the hot, spicy chicken that's in the rice. So to make raita, all you need is some yogurt, some cucumbers, some onions, and if you want, you can even add grapes, which is what my mother does. And that's what makes the dish so special to me. So I didn't choose multiple squares. Yuki, I realized that I could talk about just one square for 1 minute. And if you want, you can do that as well. But if maybe you can't talk about your favorite dish for 1 minute, you can choose to talk about your favorite dish and then the foods you dislike the most, and then the most unusual food you've ever eaten.
Yes, ma'am.
So does anyone else have questions?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, cool. So if that's it, then thank you so much for coming to class today. And I'll see you all next week.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Yes, ma'am. Goodbye, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.